I am the IQ Superior Samantha Smart, manager of the WOW World Champion, the Class Master, as seen on WOW Women of Wrestling, and this is the Fans View podcast.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Fans View podcast. This week, we have something special for you guys. Coming from WOW Women of Wrestling, we have the most beautiful, the smartest. I'm not going to gloat about her too much because she's going to tell you how great she is. This week, we have the wonderful Samantha Smart on. Samantha, how are you doing tonight?
I'm fabulous as usual, Jarrett. How are you?
I can't complain. I'm talking to someone as beautiful and smart as you, so what's there to complain about?
Yeah, hopefully I can rub off on you and help you, make the podcasting world a smarter place.
Fair enough. I'll take all the help I can get. Um, we're gonna jump right into it. For fans who might be new to WoW or haven't really, jumped into it, how would you describe Samantha Smart in your own words?
Okay, so for fans who have not done their homework, I am Samantha Smart. I am the manager of the Class Master, who is the WOW World Champion. And I am also regularly called IQ Superior. And let me break that down for some of those with lower intelligence. My IQ is higher than Graham's number. And if you don't know what that number is so absurdly large, there is not enough space in the observable universe to write down all the digits. And if you tried to store them in your mind, it would collapse upon itself as a black hole. Now, you may be asking yourself, Samantha, what do you use that IQ for? Well, of course, I use it to educate the masses, make the world a better place. And this is why some people refer to me recently as the IQ savior.
You know what? And that's fair. I think that's underselling it even.
Thank
If you would, can you take us back to the beginning? Obviously, you're brilliant. So what drew you into the world of professional wrestling?
Yeah, actually, it was my dad's passion first. So my dad grew up going to wrestling matches with his dad. So you might say that the seed was somewhat planted in me genetically from birth. But I didn't grow up going to wrestling matches. I grew up on the tennis court. I grew up playing flute in the orchestra. I grew up in the swimming lanes. So I excel at everything naturally, but wrestling was not in my background. But when I heard about WOW, the first time it came across my radar, my interest was just immediately spiked. I mean, the spectacle of it, the athleticism. It's like playing chess, but with real life consequences, right? If you mess up at chess, maybe your ego gets hurt. I wouldn't know. But if you mess up in the ring, your body can get hurt. And if your body gets hurt, then you have no vessel to use your mind, which is the most important thing. So I actually started behind the scenes with David McLean, helping him implement and my success strategies to improve the rest of the company. But I slowly realized that not only could I help the operations of WOW, but I should probably be at the center of it.
Well, that's a great point. That kind of leads me to my next question for you is WoW has such a unique presentation as opposed to all the other companies out there, especially the ones on TV, obviously. What's your experience been like working with the company? As you said, you've worn a lot of hats thus far. What's your experience been from day one?
Yeah, you nailed it. That's exactly why I'm with WOW. I don't stand for mediocrity. And, at WOW, women are empowered to not only excel athletically, but to be commanding forces. You aren't told who to be. We tell them who we are, and then we show the audience who we are, and then we impact the world. So, like you mentioned, a lot of people might know this, but I'm really involved behind the scenes. So, everything from operations director, I've managed the costume team, I've created different spreadsheets that have completely changed our rundowns and the cadence of our production. And that just kind of goes with the nature of being as intelligent as I am. And some people like to think that wearing a lot of hats is a burden, but really, who else would wear them? Who else would all of the hats fit but me.
Absolutely. We talk about all your different roles with WoW. I want to kind of talk about your on-camera stuff right now. Obviously, you've done a lot of managing right now. You're leading class master to the head of WoW. But you've also competed in some matches. How do
Mhm.
you kind of approach those two roles differently?
Yeah, so there is some crossover with wrestling and managing. Of course, it's within the same sport. But managing and competing are two distinct disciplines. Managing is about vision, wrestling is about execution. And stepping into the ring myself was not an accident and it was not ambition, it was research. If I want to pick a proxy and lead that proxy to victory, how am I going to do that if I have never been in the battlefields myself? How can I do that if I've just been on the sidelines? And this is why the Classmaster is the WoW World Champion. Not only is she superior, but so am I. And we did our research, and that's what it comes down to, being willing to do both things to be great at both.
Absolutely. I love that answer. I appreciate that. Are there any WoW talents? And I know that you and Classmaster are head and shoulders above the rest. That goes without saying. But are
Literally.
there any WoW talents? Literally, yeah. 6'2", I believe. 6'2" is what Classmaster's coming in
Yep.
at.
6'2" and
Yeah,
better than you.
absolutely. Are there any talents, and maybe enjoy isn't the word we're looking for, but are there, for the sake of conversation, are there any WoW talents that you've especially enjoyed working with, whether it's allies or foe?
Yes, I enjoy working with anyone who follows instructions. And that may sound simple, but you'd be amazed by how rare that trait is. And the Classmaster is a prime example of why obedience to strategy yields results. She executes the game plan exactly as designed, which is why the WoW World Championship currently resides around her waist. Now, I've also been keeping my eyes on some rising talents. I don't know if you've been watching WoW recently. Hopefully, you have been. But Xena Phoenix is new to the scene. And her training regimen has been relentless. I mean, she's in the gym as much as top tier, which is saying something. And she's raw material, but raw material can be refined. And also Daisy Lane aligning herself with Chainsaw, even though it's slightly disturbing, and I try to keep my distance. I think it's quite a dynamic, and it's furthermore interesting that they've added Fury to the mix.
I like that. Your character brings intelligence and strategy to the forefront. How do you prepare for matches or moments that kind of lean into that side of yourself?
Yeah. Study, practice, study, practice. I study film, psychological profiling, etc., etc. I don't walk into matches, I enter them with a fully developed plan. Every opponent is a variable, every outcome is a solvable equation. The class master and I spend hours reviewing the tapes. It is data driven dominance. And that's why, if you've ever noticed, when we enter, we do not look like we're hesitating. We don't look like we're scared. If anything, we might even look a little mad because put yourself in our shoes for once. Like, how would you feel if you prepared so much and you're so ready to share your intelligence with the world, and then you step out and there's this stupid audience making these juvenile booing sounds at you? It's very annoying. So, piggybacking off of that, so much of my legwork is already done in advance, and I know what I'm walking into with the stupids being out there. So my favorite thing to do before I go out there is actually just to be in complete and utter silence.
Fair.
Hey, you. Yeah, watching this right now. I see you. If you're enjoying what you're watching, I've got one quick favor to ask, and it only takes a second, costs you nothing, and makes a huge difference. If you could go ahead and hit that like button, maybe drop a comment. If you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed. Doesn't seem like much, but for small creators, it's everything. So let's help more people find this channel and keep the content coming. And honestly, I'm pretty sure the podcast will be really grateful. So if you're having fun, you like what you see, make it official, click those buttons, and the Fans View podcast, we'll see you next time.
Does being a brain over brawn style of competitor, does that change how you think about the way things go down in the ring? Some people may call it storytelling. Obviously, you're just taking care of business. Does that kind of change your approach in ring?
Absolutely. I'd be lying if I said it didn't, but maybe not for the reason that you think, because Brawn tells its own story. It's visceral, it can be loud, it's obvious. But intelligence, that's a story that actually needs to be told because it's so often underlooked. It can sometimes be silent, invisible to the eye. It's really an unsung hero. And intelligence and strategy, like I said, isn't flashy. You have to pay attention. But that's what makes it worth telling. And the world always celebrates the strong and silences the smart. And that's one thing that I'm out here to change. I'm out here to raise those voices of the smart and let the stupids know that our stories are important too. And if they would listen to us, that maybe they could be bronze and brain.
Absolutely. I mean, common sense, it's not so common, right? Um, I'd love to play a little game. I know you don't have a lot of time for games, but I'd love to play a little word association with someone the intelligence level of you. I'm going to throw a couple names at you, and maybe you could just give me one word or a couple words, just the first ones that come to mind. The first one being Santana Garrett,
Loser,
Abilene Maverick,
cheater,
Kara Kai,
dodo.
Sandy Shore,
Who's that?
Penelope
Oh,
Pink.
that was one of the people that we beat in the superior match. I don't know if you watched it, but I actually had Classmaster, even though she already beat 11 women at once, I had her then take on 3 women at once. And that is correct. Yep. Sandy Shore, Spring Breaker.
That's fair. That's fair. Penelope Pink.
Fabulous.
And last but not least, our champion, Classmaster.
Superior.
I would expect nothing else from you. To kind of turn the page on that, what would you say has been the biggest challenge in your wrestling career so far?
Biggest challenge. On a personal level, stepping into the spotlight was never natural for me. I'm actually a little bit shy. So I didn't grow up craving attention. I grew up craving answers. My childhood was filled with books and research. I mean, literally, both of my parents are teachers. So public speaking, especially to a crowd that's actively booing me, was a challenge. But intelligence demands action even when it's uncomfortable. And, that brings me back to the audience. I'm not going to let them dampen my message. I have something to say to the world. I am here to educate the masses. And if they wish to boo, they're going to have to boo louder because they are not more important than my message of IQ superiority.
Agreed. Well said. Very well said. How do you balance, the performance, the physical training, the character development? Obviously, you wear a lot of hats in WoW. How does one person, find that balance?
Well, the biggest thing is just time management. I mean, there's no way around it. We all have the same amount of hours in a day, but every moment is an opportunity to invest in yourself or in a cause that you believe in. Um, I am known for being a very early riser. My colleagues expect to see emails from me as early as 4 a.m. So let's just do the math real quick. I don't know what time the average person wakes up. Let's just say 7. So the difference between 4 and 7 is 3. If you take that over a year, that's a little over 1,095 hours a year, which is 45 and a half days. Yeah. So basically you're getting a little over a month and a half extra annually. And then if you compound that, it's kind of like, investments and saving. If you compound that, think of the difference that it will make in anything that you're putting your efforts into. And everybody knows that the spoils go to the efficient and the prepared.
Well said. Well said. Women's wrestling as a whole has evolved so much. Where do you see WOW's place in that bigger movement? Obviously, with the empowering and that.
I see WOW at the front of that movement. I think WOW is to women's wrestling what Mrs. Lovelace was to computing. Ahead of the curve. The curve had to catch up, in fact, so far ahead. She imagined machines before machines existed, and David McLean and Selena Majors imagined a future for women's wrestling before that platform existed, dating all the way back to Glow. We are all about elevating the status quo, and Jeannie Buss would agree with that, I'm sure. So when you tune in, just remember that you aren't watching the next chapter in women's wrestling. You are witnessing the future being written in real time. And I can't put enough emphasis on how important that is. So considering that your fans, Jarrett, will be living in that future that we are all creating together, I think they can consider this their chance to participate. So, fans, comment on this interview with what you would like to see next for the evolution of women's wrestling. I will be reading.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, as we start to round home and round third and take this thing home, if Samantha Smart, if she can step in the ring or manage one talent from any promotion, from any era, who would that be?
Well, once I am finished perfecting CRISPR technology, I would devise a triple threat between me, myself, and I, because the only competition truly challenging for Samantha Smart is Samantha Smart. This would be a feat that would change the whole industry. It would revolutionize the sport. Imagine how much competitors could improve if they faced themselves. And that's not ego, that's just good science. And if your listeners were hoping for a more pedestrian answer, I want my shot at the beast. She abandoned that title before I had a shot to take it myself. And I was next in line to get it. I earned it by giving up information, valuable information, even after the reward money was long gone. And then I beat Santana. Well, Classmaster did. And then Beast just doesn't show up. So, I mean, ultimately, it worked in my favor a little bit because I was able to showcase Classmaster in a really unique way that night, her beating 11 women in one evening. But don't think for a second that I've forgotten about the Beast, and that's a loose end I'd love to tie up.
So I love that answer, by the way. This is the Fans View podcast. Obviously, you're a busy woman when you're not, leading Classmaster to greener pastures and you're not, doing everything that you do behind the scenes. What are you a fan of outside of professional wrestling?
Well, I won't go into anything professional because that's not something you're a fan of. That's just your professional obligation. What am I a fan of? I'm a fan of quantum mechanics, black coffee, and people listening to me.
Love that answer more than you could ever imagine. That might be the best answer to that question that I've ever received. Not that surprises you.
Yeah, you're
Um,
welcome.
Finally, what does the term success mean to you, not only in your career, but at this point in your life?
Yeah, I think this would be a really important question for all of your audience to stop what they're doing and listen because especially the IQ inferiors, they can really use any help that they can get with success. Even a granular amount of success will go a long way in their lives. But success for me personally has never been about applause, thank goodness. It's about progress. I've always been competitive, but mostly with myself. So I find peace in the pursuit. When I have something really challenging to work on, a hard problem to solve, a goal that seems almost unreachable, that's when I thrive. And if I don't have something to work towards, it's almost torture for me. So I don't like to think of success as a finish line. I like to think of it as a sustained evolution, waking up smarter today than you were yesterday and knowing that there's still another level to unlock always. So to some people, success is a moment, but to me, it's a mindset.
Absolutely, well said. Finally, and probably most importantly, where can the intellectuals as well as the stupids, as you so eloquently put it, where can they find you online if they want to, tell you, get on social media and tell you how great you and Classmaster are, or how big of a fan they are, and most importantly, where can people get WOW? Where can they see it?
Yeah, so you can follow WOW Superheroes. They're the same on all handles. They do that, make it easy for everyone, even the stupids. You can follow me on Instagram, wow_smart, or on X, wow_Sam Smart. And you can watch us Saturday nights. It's a little bit different in every state, so you'll want to go to WOWE.com to check your local listings. And then if you missed it, like a failure, then you can go to Vice Replay, which is either Tuesday night or Wednesday, depending on what zone you're in. And then we're also on Pluto TV and then Paramount Plus, but only seasons 1 and 2 on Paramount Plus. So you can do your homework, catch up on Paramount Plus, and then watch the real action. And then above all, if you really want to support me, other than all of those things, I would ask you just to do one simple action for me. Don't be stupid.
I think we have to end on that, Samantha. Thank you so much for bringing just the intelligence and brilliance to the Fans View podcast that we so desperately needed.
My pleasure.
Guys, make sure you go support Samantha. Go support Classmaster. Most importantly, go support WOW Women of Wrestling. They're really doing some cutting edge stuff over there. And it's not the stuff you see on Monday nights and Tuesday nights and Wednesday nights. This is some cool stuff they got going on. So make sure to check them out everywhere that she just said. Pluto TV. It's there. Don't be stupid. Go find it. Don't be lazy either. But until next time, guys, make sure, most importantly of all, to call your mom.
If you haven't liked or subscribed, you're going to be joking me.